Welcome to the Crypto Revolution Tradingview series. As always, there's a link in the description to download Tradingview. This is support and resistance. In the last one, we focused entirely on price levels. And in this one, we're going to focus on trend lines. Let's go. To start with, what is a trend line? A trend line is a line drawn over pivot highs or under pivot lows to show the prevailing direction of price. Keep in mind that just like support and resistance, you need 2 or more touches for a trend line to be valid. Also realize that trend lines are often part of a larger pattern, and this is one of the many ways we can use them to trade. Now let's dive in and show some examples of trend lines. Here I am on the engine chart 4-hour, and I've drawn this line where there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches. So this would be an example of a valid trend line. Now if we zoom out to the 12-hour, that trend line was actually this area right here. Now let's zoom in on this area. Zoomed in on the 1-hour chart now, this is that area that I indicated on the 12-hour chart. This trend line has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right now it's making its 6th touch. So this would be another valid trend line. Zooming back out now to the 12-hour chart, we're going to focus just on this first yellow box that had that trend line within it, and we're going to look for clues as to the reason that that broke to the upside when it did. Now if you look, I'm going to draw this little support zone, and you can see that price action has interacted with this zone on several occasions in the past. It bounced here, it bounced here, here, here. So this zone was obviously some pretty strong support. So when price action came up here and created this trend line, as soon as that trend line got down to that support level, that would be the time that you might start looking for it to break to the upside. Now here's an example of a trend line being part of a larger pattern. So this is the sold chart on the 4-hour. And if you look, I have an upper trend line with 1, 2, 3 touches. And I have a lower trend line with 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. And it's making up this large symmetrical triangle. Zooming out to the 12-hour chart, we can again use support and resistance price levels to get clues as to why this broke to the upside out of this triangle. If you look down here, price action previously hit this area and got rejected. Once it was able to break it, it took off. It even came back down, retested, went higher, came back down, got really close to retesting the zone again, retested it here, retested it here. So clearly it was able to flip this zone right here from resistance into support. So as it approached the end of this triangle, that's one of the reasons that it may have broken to the upside. Now one really important thing to keep in mind is just like price levels, trend lines or patterns are also not all created equal. Here we're looking at a 12-hour SHIB chart, and we're going to use it to kind of tell a story about support and resistance and trend lines and patterns. Now if we look right here, we're going to focus on this zone of resistance. Now when price action lost this area, we can see that it tested it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. So over the course of about 130 days, price action had tested that same zone of resistance 7 times. Now I've marked some different boxes over here on the right side showing some different patterns and trend lines, and we're going to zoom in to kind of tell a story of why certain ones were more significant than other ones. So now here we are zoomed in on the 15-minute chart for SHIB. As you can see, we have a falling wedge here that broke to the upside, but there wasn't much follow through before it basically created another down trend line that it followed, getting rejected over and over and over. We scroll over a bit and then we see that when it broke to the upside of this one, it was actually able to create kind of a small trend line underneath it to the upside. Then if we zoom in after that, we can see that before it broke up even further to the upside, it had a little symmetrical triangle here that it was able to break out, retest some upper resistance, and then kind of start to work its way up. Then we scroll in right here, and we kind of wonder, well, what happened here that all of a sudden price just kind of took off? And the answer to that lies on this 10-minute chart. We see this small falling wedge that had touches on both sides. It was able to break to the upside and retest before pushing price action to the upside. Then we zoom back out to the 12-hour chart, and this little blue box right here was where that zoomed in break retest of that small falling wedge happened. And if you look, this was the giant zone of resistance that SHIB had spent 130 days below, and that break retest on the small time frame was actually it breaking through that major resistance and being able to push price to the upside, which helps you understand why not all trend lines and patterns are created equal. And that concludes our support and resistance video about trend lines, and we'll catch you in the next one.